Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever sat down to meditate, you know, hoping for that quiet moment, only to find your mind suddenly doing sprints?
Yeah, through the to-do list, past regrets, future worries.
Exactly. Or maybe your body just feels strangely uncomfortable, you get restless, and honestly, after just a few minutes, you're thinking, I need to stop, feeling more agitated than when you started.
That is such a common experience. It really is.
Right.
And that feeling, it often comes from a basic misunderstanding of what deep meditation actually is.
How so?
Well, most people link it just with relaxation or maybe stress relief, which, sure, those can be side effects, absolutely, but they aren't the core purpose, not according to these teachings.
Right. And that's exactly where we're diving today. We want to go beyond those surface level ideas and really explore meditation as, well, a much deeper, potentially transformative practice.
And our guide for this, as you mentioned, is Paramahansa Yogananda. We're drawing insights specifically from the source material you shared, including references to his profound teachings and that classic book, Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yeah, a foundational text for many. So our mission here is to really extract the essential principles from this material, the how and the why behind effective deep meditation, showing it as, like you said, much more than just sitting still.
And the source does hint at something intriguing, doesn't it? A kind of secret that could potentially make your meditation practice, well, significantly more powerful.
10 times more powerful is the claim. We'll definitely get into that.
Mhm.
Because, look, as Yogananda taught, and as we see clearly in this material, meditation isn't just about finding temporary peace.
No, it's presented as a very precise process, something aimed at reaching the soul's highest state and connecting directly with infinite cosmic energy, the energy that underlies everything.
It's a striking contrast, isn't it, between that everyday idea of just chilling out and this far grander possibility Yogananda described.
Absolutely.
So let's start right there. What is the common perception versus Yogananda's view as laid out here?
Well, the common perception, like you said, is often just closing your eyes, maybe breathing deeply, trying to relax your muscles, reduce stress.
Like mental therapy, a break from the grind.
Exactly. And while it can offer that, this teaching insists it's fundamentally much, much deeper. It's not primarily about mental relief or just, chilling out.
Okay, so what is it then, according to this source?
According to Yogananda's perspective here, it's the key to direct connection with the divine, with spirit. It's a process specifically intended to awaken the soul itself.
Awaken the soul. That sounds significant.
It is. The true objective described is reaching the absolute depths of your being, tapping into that infinite energy field that creates and sustains the entire universe.
So the ultimate purpose isn't relaxation per se, it's soul awakening, experiencing your true self.
Exactly. The consciousness that exists beyond the physical body and the thinking mind that you normally identify with.
And when you actually reach those deeper states, the description from the source is quite captivating.
It really is. The mind becomes completely calm. There's this deep internal peace and joy that just arises spontaneously.
And a realization.
Yes, a profound realization. You're not just this body. You're not just this mind. You are an infinite energy source. And it's presented not as just a nice thought, but as a tangible, direct experience.
That's a crucial distinction. Yogananda, especially in Autobiography of a Yogi, talks about direct, conscious experiences of the divine presence in meditation.
Yes, and the material really emphasizes this. It's a real experience. It's not just visualization or imagining something nice. It's perception.
Okay, this naturally leads to a pretty critical question that the source itself raises. If meditation is truly this powerful, why don't more people, achieve these deep transformative results?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The explanation offered here is quite clear. Without correct guidance and the right method, people simply don't go deep enough.
So just learning general techniques for relaxation or mindfulness, that's not enough.
Apparently not. Not enough to unlock these really profound levels of spiritual experience that Yogananda describes.
It's like trying to get to the top floor of a skyscraper without knowing where the stairs or the elevator are. You might stand at the bottom, look up, admire the view, but you're not actually getting to the roof.
That's a perfect analogy. Using incorrect methods or just sort of guessing your way through it leads to exactly those frustrations you mentioned at the start.
The wandering mind, feeling sleepy, getting bored.
Right. Or just not experiencing anything significant beyond maybe a few moments of quiet. So the method, according to the source, is absolutely paramount.
And the method, maybe surprisingly, starts even before you sit down. It involves setting the stage right, the environment.
It does, yeah. Have you ever noticed just in daily life how your state of mind seems to shift depending on where you are?
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
You feel maybe calmer in nature or in a quiet church, but kind of tense or scattered in a really busy, noisy, or maybe even negative place.
Exactly. It feels palpable sometimes, doesn't it? Like the energy of the place itself is affecting you.
Yeah, it does.
Well, Yogananda's teaching, as presented here, aligns perfectly with that intuition. He essentially says that just as a seed needs fertile soil to grow, meditation needs the right atmosphere.
Trying to still the mind in an agitated or negative place is difficult.
Incredibly difficult. It's like trying to plant that seed in concrete. It just won't take root properly.
Okay, so what makes for the right atmosphere, according to this material? What are the principles?
Well, first, the obvious things. Choose a quiet, stable place, somewhere free from noise or, importantly, potential interruptions.
Turn off the phone, let people know not to disturb you if possible. Basic stuff.
Basic, but essential. But then there's a deeper principle highlighted here, which I find fascinating. Choose a place where you meditate every single day.
Every day. Why the consistency and location?
The idea is that energy, a kind of subtle spiritual energy, accumulates there over time. Think about ancient temples or ashrams, places where people have prayed or meditated for centuries.
You can often feel something in those places, a kind of stillness or power.
Exactly. The teaching suggests that by practicing regularly in one dedicated spot, you build up that positive, still energy. It sort of creates an energetic vortex that helps you go deeper more easily each time you sit there.
That's really interesting. The place itself becomes charged by your own practice.
Yes. The material also suggests, unsurprisingly perhaps, that natural places are ideal if you have access to them.
Like by a river, in the mountains, under a tree, a quiet garden.
Right. The idea is that the pure, natural energy helps still the mind more quickly. Something ancient yogis seem to understand intuitively.
Okay, but most of us meditate at home. So how do you create that conducive environment indoors?
The sources mention some simple practical things. You could, for instance, burn incense or dupe. These are traditional practices believed to purify the atmosphere and fill it with positive energy.
Sensory cues.
Yeah. Yogananda apparently felt that scent was a simple way to help prepare the mind for turning inward.
Makes sense. What else?
Soft meditative music can also be helpful for some people. Things like calming instrumental music, maybe gentle mantras, or nature sounds like flowing water.
But the key is,
The key is that it has to be soft, and it must not become a distraction itself. If you find yourself listening to the music instead of meditating, it's counterproductive.
right. And lighting. Does that matter?
Dim lighting is recommended, soft light, or even just candlelight. Bright light tends to keep the mind more active and outward focused, while dimmer light encourages ease and inward turning.
And finally, just keeping the space clean and organized.
Yeah, it seems simple, but a cluttered space can subtly contribute to mental clutter or agitation. A clean, orderly space tends to support a feeling of inner order and calm.
It's interesting. The material also briefly notes that even modern neuroscience kind of backs this up, showing how our brains associate specific places with certain states. So a familiar, dedicated spot makes it easier to drop into that meditative state.
Right, the brain learns the association.
Okay, so once the external environment is set, Yogananda's guidance, according to this source, then turns very directly to something incredibly fundamental, yet maybe often overlooked when people just try to sit, the physical body itself, posture.
Exactly. So many people struggle with discomfort, right?
Yeah.
Or slouching, feeling restless when they try to meditate.
Yeah, your back hurts, your leg falls asleep.
And this is often a direct result of incorrect posture.
And according to this teaching, posture isn't just about avoiding aches and pains. It's fundamentally about energy flow.
Precisely. Meditation, in this yogic tradition, isn't just a mental exercise. It's about consciously guiding your life force, your energy, towards higher states of consciousness.
When an incorrect posture gets in the way.
It's seen as a physical obstruction to that upward energy flow, particularly a bent or slouched spine. Conversely, a correct, balanced posture allows that energy to flow smoothly and stably.
Which in turn helps calm the mind and makes deeper states actually possible.
Yes, it facilitates the whole process.
So what are the specific consequences of getting the posture wrong?
Well, the source mentions a few things. A bent spine, for example, tends to direct the energy downwards. This often leads to drowsiness or even falling asleep during meditation.
Ah, okay. I think many people have experienced that.
Definitely. Also, poor posture can lead to irregular breathing, which, as we'll discuss, keeps the mind unstable. And just general body tension from trying to force an uncomfortable position makes concentration incredibly difficult.
So Yogananda's core point here is that correct posture directly helps balance the body-mind energy flow, making the whole practice far more effective.
Exactly. It's not just about looking meditative, it's about being energetically aligned.
So the source breaks down the key elements of this correct posture. What's the most important thing?
The most critical rule, emphasized repeatedly, is a straight spine. Straight, but importantly, not stiff or strained.
How do you achieve that?
Think of a gentle, invisible string pulling you up from the crown of your head, lengthening the spine naturally.
Okay. And why is the spine so crucial?
Well, this teaching explains that the spine isn't just a stack of bones. It's considered the central channel for subtle energy, containing these vital energy centers, often called chakras.
Like energy hubs along the spine?
Kind of, yes. Think of them as spinning wheels or vortexes of energy along this central highway. A straight spine allows the vital life force prana, the energy that animates body and mind, to flow easily upwards through these centers.
Upwards towards.
Towards the highest spiritual center at the crown of the head, the Sahasrara or crown chakra. This upward flow is considered key for accessing higher spiritual experiences and awareness.
Interesting. And even basic science supports good posture for alertness, right? Better breathing, more oxygen.
Absolutely. Good posture improves lung capacity, oxygen intake, and brain alertness, which certainly doesn't hurt when you're trying to concentrate.
Okay, so straight spine is number one. What else is key for posture?
Relax your shoulders. Avoid hunching them up or holding unnecessary tension there. Tension creates energy blockages. Find a balanced state, not rigidly pulling them back, but not collapsing forward either.
And hand positions. You often see meditators holding their hands in specific ways.
Mudras.
Yes, mudras. These are specific hand gestures believed to help balance and channel the body's energy. They've been used by yogis for centuries to deepen their practice.
Does the source mention specific ones?
It mentions a few common ones.
Yep.
Simply resting your palms open upwards on your knees is one. Another is the Jnana Mudra, tip of the thumb touching the tip of the index finger, forming a circle with other fingers straight.
What's that one for?
It's thought to enhance concentration and knowledge, symbolically connecting the individual consciousness, index finger, with the universal consciousness, thumb.
Okay.
And also the Dhyana Mudra, placing the right hand on top of the left in your lap, with the thumbs gently touching. This is often associated with deep contemplation and balancing energy flows.
And what about the legs? Sitting cross-legged can be really tough for a lot of people.
Comfort is absolutely key here, because if you're in physical pain or discomfort, your mind will inevitably be distracted by it.
So you don't have to do the full lotus pose? Not at all. While traditional poses like Padmasana, full lotus, or Ardha Padmasana, half lotus, are mentioned as being highly effective for stable energy circulation, Sukhasana, easy pose, just sitting comfortably cross-legged, is perfectly fine.
What if even that's uncomfortable?
Then sitting on a chair is absolutely okay. The main thing is to keep your spine straight, and if on a chair, keep your feet flat on the floor. The goal is stability and ease, so you can eventually forget about the body.
So the real secret of posture, then, isn't just about physical alignment for comfort, but understanding the spine as this crucial energy channel.
Exactly. Straight spine equals energy flowing up towards the higher centers, fostering depth, peace, concentration. Bent spine equals energy flowing down or getting blocked, leading to drowsiness, unstable mind.
Makes sense. Correct posture is essentially energetic alignment.
That's the core idea. It stabilizes the mind faster, promotes the flow of positive energy, increases the potential depth, and makes those higher experiences Yogananda talks about actually possible.
That's really foundational.
Yeah.
And just as crucial as the environment and the posture, it seems, is managing the breath.
Right.
If your breath is all over the place, deep meditation feels impossible.
It absolutely does. And that's because of the incredibly deep, almost primal connection between our breath and our state of mind.
Can you elaborate on that connection?
Well, just think about your own direct experience. When you're stressed or anxious or maybe angry, what happens to your breath?
It gets shallow fast, maybe irregular.
Exactly. And your mind races, right?
Yeah.
Conversely, when you're feeling calm and relaxed, how's your breath?
It's naturally slower, deeper, more even, and the mind feels calmer too.
Precisely. So Yogananda's profound point, which is really highlighted in this material, is that controlling the breath gives you a direct lever, a very powerful one to control the mind. When the breath becomes calm and steady, the mind naturally follows suit and becomes still.
So it's not just a metaphor, they're intrinsically linked. physiologically and energetically.
Absolutely. And this leads directly to the power of pranayama.
Pranayama, meaning
Yes. Literally a prana control of that vital life force energy, primarily through regulating the breath. Doing pranayama correctly, according to these teachings, doesn't just calm you down temporarily, it can energize both the mind and the soul.
what are the benefits?
Well, physically, improved oxygenation, mentally, quicker calmness, balanced energy flow throughout the nervous system, and importantly, better control over disruptive thoughts and emotions.
Okay. The source mentions specific pranayama techniques to use before you actually start your main meditation period. What are they?
One simple but very effective technique is just conscious deep breathing. Spending maybe 5 minutes just sitting quietly and taking slow, conscious, deep breaths through the nose.
What's the focus there?
The idea or the visualization is that you're inhaling pure energy, that prana or life force, filling yourself with vitality. And as you exhale, you're releasing tension, negativity, mental clutter, anything that weighs the mind down.
Just clearing the slate before you begin.
Exactly. And then there's a more specific and quite powerful technique taught by Yogananda mentioned here called the Hong So technique.
Hong So. How does that work?
It's a form of breath washing combined with a mental repetition, a mantra.
Mental repetition. So you're not actually saying anything out loud.
Correct. It's entirely mental. As you inhale naturally, you mentally hear or feel the sound hung, rhymes with song. And as you exhale naturally, you mentally hear or feel the sound so, like so.
Hong. So what do those sounds represent?
Hong is often associated with the sound of the incoming breath, or prana, and so with the outgoing breath. Together, they're sometimes interpreted as meaning I am he or I am spirit, subtly affirming your connection to the divine with each breath cycle.
Interesting. So you're linking the natural rhythm of the breath to this specific mental mantra.
Yes, and the material states the benefits are quite significant. It naturally helps to slow the breath down without forcing it. It gives the wandering mind a simple, single point of focus, the breath and the mental sound.
Which steadies and deepens the meditation.
Exactly. Yogananda taught that consistent practice of Hong So can gradually slow the breath so much that you can effortlessly enter very deep meditative states where the breath becomes extremely subtle.
And the ultimate goal for the breath during the deep meditation itself. What does the source say?
It indicates that as you go deeper and deeper, the breath becomes incredibly slow, very fine, almost imperceptible. It might feel like it has nearly stopped, though it hasn't entirely.
And Yogananda had a powerful insight about this.
Yes, a very profound statement quoted here. The day your breath is completely stable, your mind will be completely stable. The breath becomes the ultimate barometer of your inner stillness and depth.
Wow. Okay, so you've set the physical stage with the right environment and correct posture. You've calmed the energy, begun to steady the mind using breath control like Hong So. But then comes, for most people, the biggest hurdle.
What?
The mind just starts chatting away, nonstop.
Ah, yes. The infamous wandering mind. You've done everything right. You sit down, close your eyes, ready for peace, and suddenly, bam.
You're mentally reliving a conversation from yesterday, planning tomorrow's grocery list, worrying about work, hearing song lyrics.
Anything and everything except being present and still? This internal noise, this mental static, is the major block preventing people from going deep in meditation.
It really feels like a losing battle sometimes, like you're fighting your own brain.
Well, Yogananda's perspective, as presented here, is actually quite reassuring on this point. He acknowledges that the mind's very nature is to be active and to wander. It's what minds do.
So it's not a sign that you're failing at meditation.
Not at all. It's normal. But, and this is the crucial part, the mind can be focused and directed. It requires the right methods, patience, and consistent effort. It's like training a puppy.
I like that analogy. Why does it seem to wander even more when you specifically try to quiet it for meditation?
The source explains it's often because you're reducing external stimuli. So the internal stuff, latent thoughts from the past, anxieties about the future, unresolved emotions, sensory memories, and just that constant stream of internal commentary, the voice in the head, it all comes to the surface more noticeably.
Okay, so how do you gently rein it in? What methods does the source offer for developing concentration?
One primary method highlighted is focusing your attention gently but firmly at the point between the eyebrows. This is often called the third eye, or Ajna chakra in yogic terms.
How do you do that? Just look up with your eyes closed.
You close your eyes normally, or maybe keep them slightly open with gaze lowered, and then gently direct your inward gaze, and more importantly, your attention or feeling, to that spot between the eyebrows, slightly above the root of the nose.
Is there something specific you should focus on at that point? Or just the location?
The material suggests visualizing or sensing a kind of divine light there. Maybe a point of light, like a star, or just a feeling of inner illumination originating from that spot.
And the practice is?
The practice is simply this. When your mind inevitably wanders, and it will, especially at first you notice it has wandered, without any self-criticism or frustration, and you gently, calmly bring your attention back to that point between the eyebrows, back to that feeling or visualization of light.
Gently bring it back, over and over.
Over and over. Yogananda taught that focusing here is particularly powerful because this center is considered the seat of intuition, spiritual perception, and connection to higher consciousness. Focusing attention there helps to awaken these faculties and potentially open the doors to deeper spiritual awareness.
So the key isn't forcefully suppressing thoughts, but consistently, gently redirecting the focus whenever it strays.
Exactly. Gentleness is key. Another powerful method mentioned is the mental repetition, or jap, of the mantra Om, or AUM.
Like the Hong So technique, this is done silently.
Yes, entirely mentally, not spoken aloud during meditation. Om, as described in these traditions, is considered the primordial vibration of the universe, the cosmic sound from which all creation manifests. It's a very sacred sound.
How does mentally repeating Om help with concentration specifically?
Well, the source explains that the vibration of Om is inherently stabilizing and harmonizing. Mentally chanting it gives the restless mind a powerful, resonant sound to anchor itself to.
So instead of random thoughts, you focus on the inner sound of Om.
Right. You might mentally feel or hear Om on the inhale, perhaps feeling its universal power entering you, and then feel negativity or distraction leaving on the exhale. The benefits described include bringing almost instant calm, deepening the meditative state significantly, and it can even attune your inner hearing to eventually perceive the subtle inner divine sound of Om itself.
And what if thoughts are just relentlessly popping up, despite trying to focus on the third eye or Om?
The teaching consistently stresses gentleness and non-resistance. If thoughts arise, don't fight them, don't try to violently push them away, and definitely don't get angry or frustrated with yourself.
So what do?
You simply notice them, acknowledge their presence, almost like watching clouds drift by in the sky. Maybe briefly feel the emotion they carry without getting caught up in the story. And then gently, lovingly, like that puppy analogy, you guide your attention back to your chosen point of focus, be it the third eye or the mental Om chant.
Like a mother guiding her child with love, firm but gentle.
Exactly that sentiment. Yogananda emphasized that the initial restlessness of the mind is natural, but it significantly reduces with patient, consistent practice. You're retraining the mind's habits.
And what happens, according to the source, as your concentration genuinely improves using these methods? What are the results?
The source describes some really compelling results. First, your ability to sit still and remain focused naturally lengthens. You can meditate for longer periods without struggle.
Okay, that makes sense.
You start to experience moments and then longer stretches of profound inner peace and silence. You might begin to actually feel a subtle spiritual energy flowing within you, perhaps as warmth, tingling, or a sense of inner current.
And potentially more.
Yes. In deeper states of concentration, the material says you might actually start to perceive that inner divine light at the third eye, or hear those subtle inner cosmic sounds, the AUM vibration, or other sounds like bells or flowing water.
Wow. So concentration isn't just about achieving a blank mind. It's really a pathway to opening up these deeper sensory experiences.
Precisely. It prepares the ground and sharpens the inner perception. And that leads us naturally to discussing these deeper levels and the potential for what are often termed divine experiences.
Right. Because the material makes it very clear that the final goal here isn't just having a nice, peaceful mind or reducing stress, valuable as those are.
No, the ultimate aim is presented as reaching the profoundest levels of consciousness and actually experiencing the divine presence within yourself. Meditation becomes a journey towards spiritual realization.
And Yogananda taught quite directly that when meditation is done correctly and deeply enough, you can actually perceive divine light, hear the subtle voice or sound of the soul, and enter states of significantly higher consciousness.
Yes, these are described not as metaphors or wishful thinking, but as very real, perceptible experiences that can occur.
What are some of these deep experiences detailed in the source?
Well, one is a profound, unshakable, deep peace, a state where the mind and body become completely still. The awareness of the outer world seems to recede or disappear, and your inner being feels like a perfectly calm, clear lake, utter stillness.
Okay. And the divine light.
This refers to actually seeing internal light, not with the physical eyes, obviously, but perceived inwardly. It might appear as a single point of light, like a brilliant star or a golden glow, or perhaps a deep, vibrant blue light. And it's often perceived at that third eye point between the eyebrows.
And sound. You mentioned hearing divine sound.
Yes, hearing the subtle inner divine sound or cosmic vibrations. This is often described as hearing the resonant sound of AUM, but it can also manifest as other sounds like a distant bell ringing, incredibly beautiful inner music, or sounds resembling flowing water or buzzing bees. These are sounds not originating from the external world.
Fascinating. And connecting with the soul. What does that mean in experiential terms?
This is described as a state where the usual sense of the limited ego, the I that thinks and feels and worries, begins to fade or dissolve. You might feel a distinct sense of being separate from the physical body, experiencing yourself as just pure consciousness, pure awareness.
A shift in identity.
Yes, it's the dawning realization, felt directly, that you are an infinite soul, distinct from the temporary vehicle of the body and the fluctuations of the mind. Yogananda's teaching, as reported here, emphasizes that when awareness of the body fades, the soul naturally reveals its true nature.
The source also mentions some special methods or refinements to go even deeper into these states.
Yes, building on the fundamentals we've discussed. Further slowing the breath, making it even finer and more subtle, is key. As the breath becomes more and more stable and quiet, the mind becomes increasingly still, allowing access to progressively deeper states. That principle again, when breath is stable, mind is stable.
And the focus on the third eye.
Continuous, unwavering, dedicated focus on the third eye point is described as crucial for penetrating into these deeper realms. The teaching explicitly calls this point the door or the gateway through which divine light appears and where the individual soul connects consciously to the infinite. Consistent, deep focus there opens the pathway to these divine experiences.
So the third eye is the door connecting the soul to the infinite. That's a powerful statement.
It is. And similarly, meditating deeply on the sound of AUM, Om, is said to develop the subtle inner hearing, the ability to consciously perceive and eventually merge with those inner cosmic sounds.
Why Om specifically?
Because Om is considered the original cosmic sound, the vibration of creation itself. Becoming one with the AUM sound, feeling it resonate through your being, is said to align you directly with the universal energy and bring profound peace.
There's also a really important point mentioned about expectation, isn't there?
Oh yes, very important. Meditate without expectation. In Sanskrit, nishkamhav action without attachment to results. Don't sit down expecting or demanding to see lights or hear sounds or have some dramatic experience.
Why is that detrimental?
Because such expectations, the wanting and the anticipating, actually keep the mind agitated and subtly hinder the process. They create tension. The advice is to practice with an attitude of loving surrender, patience, and peace. Just allow whatever happens or doesn't happen to unfold naturally.
Letting go of the striving.
Exactly. The source notes something quite profound. The less effort in meditation, the deeper the state. Meaning less forceful trying, less mental straining, and more relaxed, allowing awareness.
And this deep inner journey, pursued diligently, can ultimately lead to the state known as samadhi.
Yes, samadhi is described in these teachings as the pinnacle state, at least in certain stages. It's a state where the normal functioning of the individual mind, the intellect, and the ego temporarily, or in advanced states more permanently, vanishes.
What replaces it?
It's replaced by an experience of ultimate peace, infinite bliss, and pure, undifferentiated divine consciousness. It's described as a state of profound freedom from the limitations of body consciousness and mind consciousness, a direct, conscious union or connection with the infinite spirit, the universe itself.
And the material is clear. This isn't just some ancient myth or philosophical concept.
No, it emphasizes that samadhi is a very real, attainable state of consciousness for those who dedicate themselves fully to the path. It references Yogananda's own powerful descriptions of his samadhi experiences detailed in his autobiography.
So the ultimate aim, reiterated throughout this source material we're exploring, isn't just achieving mental peace or relaxation, but true self-knowledge.
Yes, the direct experiential knowing, not just believing, but knowing that your true identity is the eternal, blissful soul, ever one with the universal spirit. As Yogananda apparently put it, when body, mind, breath awareness fades, you recognize your true form, the divine soul.
A complete reorientation of who you think you are.
It's presented as exactly that, a fundamental shift in self-identity and understanding of reality.
Okay, that takes us through the path, the techniques, the potential experiences.
Right.
But knowing the path is one thing, and actually walking it consistently day after day is definitely another.
Absolutely. The material realistically acknowledges that many people start meditating with enthusiasm, but then they stop. Life gets busy, they don't see results quickly, they get discouraged.
It's a common challenge.
It is. But Yogananda's teachings, as presented here, offer both reassurance and strong motivation. There's a promise that significant positive changes, even things that might seem like miracles in daily life, happen for those who practice meditation diligently and daily.
So the question then becomes, how do you actually make this profound practice a sustainable lifelong habit, not just something you try for a few weeks?
Right. How do you integrate it? The source offers some very practical steps.
What was the first one?
Prioritize daily meditation. Make it non-negotiable. Even starting with just 15 or 30 minutes consistently is far more valuable than meditating for 2 hours once a week.
Consistency over quantity, initially.
Yes. Fix a specific time, if possible. Morning or evening often works best before the day's activities begin or after they wind down. And then, gradually increase the duration as you feel comfortable and able. The principle shared is simple but powerful. If you prioritize meditation, meditation will prioritize you by bringing its benefits into your life.
And choose that fixed place we talked about earlier.
Definitely. Dedicating a quiet spot with positive energy, free from disturbances, really helps reinforce the habit. And as we discussed, it leverages that accumulated positive energy that builds up there over time.
Makes it easier to drop in.
Exactly. Integrate it fully into your daily routine, just like eating or sleeping. Use alarms or reminders initially if that helps. The perspective offered is clear. Meditation isn't separate. It's an integral part of life. Not an add-on, but essential maintenance for the soul.
And interestingly, this teaching also strongly suggests that the practice extends beyond the formal sitting period. It connects to modifying your lifestyle overall.
Yes, this is crucial. The source argues that meditation alone might not be enough, or its effects will be limited if your daily life is filled with chaos, negativity, or habits that constantly agitate the mind and nervous system.
So you need to support the inner work with outer changes.
That's the idea. The sources recommend specific lifestyle adjustments. For example, paying attention to diet, eating light, sattvic food, which generally means pure, light, easily digestible natural foods.
What should be avoided?
Typically avoiding heavy, overly processed, fried, or non-vegetarian foods, as these are thought in yoga, to make the mind more lethargic or restless, hindering the ability to achieve meditative depth.
Interesting. So what you eat directly impacts your mind state for meditation later.
That's the yogic understanding, yes. Also, consciously reducing exposure to negativity is recommended.
Like?
Limiting intake of sensational or distressing news, avoiding unnecessary arguments or conflicts, minimizing contact with overly negative or critical people, managing anger constructively, basically protecting your inner peace.
Makes sense. And maintaining a healthy routine.
Yes, consistent sleep and wake times, perhaps incorporating some gentle yoga postures, asanas, or physical activity to keep the body healthy and flexible. And actively cultivating positive thoughts and attitudes like love, compassion, gratitude, and a spirit of service towards others.
So while meditation is fundamentally an inner journey, the outer world, your actions, your environment, your diet, your thoughts, significantly impacts your ability to go deep within.
Precisely. It's about creating fertile ground for the practice throughout your entire day, not just for those 30 minutes on the cushion.
It's a holistic approach.
Very much so. And another point is to try and feel the effects of meditation beyond just the sitting period.
How do you mean?
Be more mindful while you're walking, working, interacting with people. Try to carry that inner stillness or awareness with you. If something bothers you during the day, instead of reacting habitually, maybe take a moment to consciously focus on your breath to regain calm. Or close your eyes briefly and reconnect with that feeling of inner peace you touched in your morning meditation.
So extending the state of awareness.
Yes. As material puts it, meditation isn't just an action. It's a state of awareness. A state to cultivate continuously, not just switch on and off.
And finally, there's a practical tip about tracking the benefits.
Yes. This is really helpful for motivation. After you meditate, take just a moment to quietly reflect, Or maybe even jot down in a journal what you felt.
Like how calm your mind became, any specific feelings of peace or clarity, maybe how the rest of your day felt different.
Exactly. Noticing and consciously remembering the tangible positive impact that meditation has on you both during the practice and in your daily life afterwards is a powerful motivator. It helps you keep going, especially when you face challenges or dry periods in your practice.
It's hard to abandon something when you consistently feel its tangible benefits.
Precisely. That positive reinforcement helps solidify the habit.
Okay, we've journeyed through quite a lot here.
Yeah.
Yogananda's systematic approach as presented in this source material, from setting the stage with the right environment and posture,
To mastering that crucial breath-mind connection using techniques like Hong So.
learning how to gently concentrate the inevitably wandering mind on points like the third eye or the sound of Om.
And understanding the potential for truly deep spiritual experiences, seeing inner light, hearing inner sound, connecting with the soul, and even the ultimate state of realization, samadhi.
It really paints a picture of meditation as a path far more detailed, disciplined, and profound than simply, sitting quietly and hoping for the best.
It's presented as a science, really, a spiritual science with specific principles and techniques leading to predictable, though deeply personal, results.
And it brings us back to that initial hint of a secret. We've uncovered many important techniques and principles, but is there one overarching secret? Or perhaps the secret is the depth itself. Is meditation only for achieving peace, or is it truly about something vastly, fundamentally greater?
I think the material consistently points towards that something greater. It keeps circling back to the potential for those profound experiences and ultimately to that state of samadhi.
The dissolution of the limited ego, the direct experience of unity with the universe, with spirit.
Yes, reaffirming that samadhi isn't just described as a state of ultimate peace, but as something beyond our normal comprehension where body awareness vanishes, the mind becomes utterly silent, the perceived boundary between the individual self and the infinite universe dissolves.
And you experience pure, divine light, infinite bliss, unshakable knowing. And it's presented not as a metaphor or a myth, but as a real transformative experience, testified to by accounts like Yogananda's own.
Exactly, and this perhaps brings us to the final provocative thought that the source material seems to leave us dangling with. What is the final mystery here?
Can anyone truly, with dedicated practice following these correct methods, reach samadhi? Is that potential inherent in all of us?
And perhaps even more profoundly, what fundamental, maybe even unimaginable changes occur in a person's consciousness, their perception of reality, their way of being in the world, after stabilizing such a state of ultimate unity?
That knowledge, that potential for complete transformation and ultimate understanding. Yeah. Maybe that is the true deep secret of meditation that goes far beyond just finding a moment of calm in a busy day.
It certainly paints a picture of meditation not just as a tool for well-being, but as potentially the ultimate journey of self-discovery and connection to the very source of existence.
Well, this deep dive, looking through the lens of Yogananda's teachings as presented in this source material, has certainly revealed meditation as a precise, step-by-step path from managing everyday restlessness to potentially experiencing the infinite.
It's quite a comprehensive map. The invitation and the incredible potential highlighted here really lies in taking this knowledge, these principles, and applying them diligently, patiently, consistently in your own life.
It's presented as so much more than just stress relief. It's framed as a clear route to knowing your deepest self and experiencing a profound, liberating unity with the universe.
Leaving you, our listeners, with that powerful question to perhaps ponder in your own quiet moments, the nature of that journey to and potentially beyond samadhi, and what that ultimate state might reveal about the true nature of yourself and of reality itself.
Until next time, keep diving deep.